Hey y'all, apologies for the hopping on late. Life is lifing. Welcome to our community session about radical self-love. I got to get myself together. The energy is not giving at
It's
this
all
moment.
good. We
I'm
here to
trying
support
to get
our sis. Listen, it
I'm
is
trying to get
tapped
myself
into that
together.
book today, and it makes me even happier just to be in a space of relaxation. And you've been pushing this, so I'm gonna push it back on you, baby. Choosies,
I
choosies.
know. I'm trying. I am trying, but I'm so happy to be here and talk and catch up around all things BGAC and see you. I know it's been a very busy season for everyone right now, and I feel like we're at the very beginning of like the ramp up for like the fall.
For sure.
And I just anticipate that there's going to be so many things coming up, so many offerings coming up. And so I'm really excited about that, especially for the fall, because,
Same, same.
you know, and of course, we got Black Girl Health Con coming up, and we're in Baltimore
Yes.
this time. And we got some friends that we're going to be connecting with and doing some things with. And we can't wait to really share all the things. But as you all saw, that we are going to be in Baltimore, we're going to be at the Historic Revival Hotel. It is a beautiful venue and space. Um, it is really like a little getaway. We're doing it retreat style. They have a karaoke. They got a speakeasy in the basement.
Yeah.
So we can't wait to be in community and continue to create spaces of healing, learning about health and wellness. So that's a little plug for, Black Girl Health Con. And the tickets will be out soon, very soon.
Yes.
So, prepare for that. But as we lead up to this, to Black Girl Health Con, we started our community ties program, and so we launched group therapy. We also have our upcoming hike where we're partnering with Black Girls Hike 2 this Saturday for our hike at Blackbird State Park. And this is the Radical Self Love hike. So make sure that you join us on Saturday. You can find
Yes.
the link in the bio. You can find it on either Black Girl Health Collective site or also on Black Girls Hike 2 site with Steph. So we can't wait to see you. So this session for this community session is about radical self love.
Yes.
So before we get into it, because of course we're doing the hike about radical self-love on Saturday, we figured we would start a conversation, because I think when people are like, okay, radical self-love, what does that even mean?
What's it
Like, what does it
mean?
even mean?
What are
what are
we
you what are you
talking?
saying, right?
Right.
So I actually wanted to ask you, Steph, what do you think, like, to you, what does radical self-love mean?
In a world that tells you to be humble, in a world that tells you, no, not like this, and you choose to just be yourself and every day learn more about yourself and be more open to yourself, forgive yourself, be gentle with yourself, baby. I'm loving me radically, you know? And honestly, it pisses me off because it should be the norm, but I mean, just in a world that wants to mold you and shape you into, one cookie cutter image of whatever, you saying, you know what, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to conform. I don't want to be whatever that is. Just really being your genuine self is to me radical self-love.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
you listened to a little bit of, so actually we got Radical Self Love is well, it's not the title, but Sonia Renee Taylor wrote a book called The Body Is Not an Apology. And in it, she talks about the concept of radical self love. And so it's a really amazing read. If you come to the hike on Saturday, you'll have the chance to win one of her books,
We love those.
that we'll be giving away. And we'll also be taking some of the questions and talking about some of the questions um, from her book.
Mhm.
So, and for like reflection, and I actually will do a sneak peek tonight. But I know you had just started listening or reading the book today, Steph. So
Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, what were your thoughts off of like the initial part that you like listened to? Because I know it was more of my like recommendation, because it's like I knew about it and I was telling you like, look, you got to read this book.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to think, what were your first thoughts about it?
I felt like somebody put on words what I had been feeling for the last, I wouldn't even say year. I'm tempted to say 6 months, but truthfully, even throughout the pregnancy, I was preparing myself that I knew my body would not be the same after
Mm-hmm.
this pregnancy, and I had just got into where I wanted to be, and so
Your goal, like
yes, I had just got into
the
what
unattainable goal that keeps moving your entire life. It keeps shifting of like what
girl.
perfection is for where you want. Yeah, yeah, I know.
Girl, I was feeling it. I was everywhere. I was doing everything. Oh, you want me to pop out? I'll pop it out. But throughout the pregnancy, I had to have a conversation with myself, and I said, Steph, it's going to be different. And you're knocking on 40's door. So what does that mean? And so throughout the pregnancy and after having the baby, it's just being gentle with myself. And so going back to what stood out in the book was she just put into words, what is it me? Whoever said bellies was wrong. Where did we get that? What's wrong with bellies? She put into words how, like, a baby finds, and obviously I'm in that season, my baby is finding her toes and finding her little belly and his body parts, and they get excited, and it's just wondrous to them. And so why do we have to, as adults, lose that if we are shaped differently or something's larger than the next, what makes that wrong? Something smaller than the next,
Mm-hmm.
what makes that so wrong? But yeah, before we go, because I know, excuse me, before we move on, I do want to hear your answer. What is radical self-love to you, Brittany?
I think it's just all the same things. It's just recognizing that like you have to honor your body in whatever stage it is and
That's it.
appreciate it for the things that it does, right?
Yes.
Like we get so down about often like thinking through the lens of like society and like what is beauty, what is the current standard,
Yeah.
and really realizing that it's never going to be the same.
Never. Never.
Literally never going to be the same. And so it's almost like, for like I would say, like as women, like the bar will constantly move, right? Like
Yes.
you want a stay-at-home woman, like a stay-at-home wife that cooks and cleans and does all the things, but you want the income of a woman that works a full-time job, an entrepreneur. Like we will never, will never be what is considered the standard at any one time.
Yes.
Like in our life, the
Yes.
bar will always be moving.
Yes.
And so like why even feed into the madness of something that will never be attainable? So like we have to set the own standard for ourselves, right?
That
Like
part.
I
Yep.
have to honor who I am and what makes me feel good, right? And not feed into to society standards of like what is and what isn't beautiful, or what is and what is not
Yep.
valuable,
Right. No, so
you
true.
know?
So true. Yeah, I just had to hear your standpoint on the radical.
Yeah.
Something about the word
Absolutely.
radical.
I know, because it's like revolutionary, right? It's
Yes.
revolutionary to love yourself
Yes.
when there's so many different things or places in society that are telling you otherwise, right?
Exactly.
Like you were saying, like when babies come in
In the
and they're
building.
just like so excited, and like they're looking at themselves with wonder,
Mm-hmm.
and like taking that same attitude
Mm-hmm.
and flipping it on its head with yourself. Like, how do you look at
Exactly.
yourself with wonder? How are you grateful for your body, all the work that your body is doing every day, right? Like
All right.
all of the things that your body is doing to support you,
Yes.
taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, being able to work, all of the things.
Yeah.
So it's really just about appreciation and honoring and respecting and loving
Yes.
yourself. And that
Yes.
feels radical, especially the radical part isn't the fact that you're able to love yourself. The radical part is that you're able to love yourself in the face
In spite of
in
what
spite
society,
of
exactly.
exactly, and all the things that society says and
Exactly.
tells us not to. So
Yeah.
so I would say I'm very excited. I'm actually interested in hearing from people in the comments
Where the
about one
people
of the
at?
yeah one
Where
of
the
the
people at?
questions that Sonia Renee Taylor has in her workbook about self-love, and I thought it was really interesting. So when I was looking at her workbook, which we also are going to be raffling off at the hike, I was thinking about like all of the different. She has the concept of like pillars in her workbook,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that she was talking about was like what what media messages feel directed at your body specifically, like what was your earliest memory of like messages around body around body image when you were
Right.
coming up? Do you remember for you?
I do. I do because quietness is kept. I had one of the biggest butts, and apparently that's like a
Oh,
black girl
word,
must have, and I didn't even know.
word.
I didn't even know the huh?
You thought you had a wagon. You was like, oh wait.
I didn't know. I didn't even know that on the black girl checklist I had something
You
going
were
on. So
told it. You
that's
didn't
been
know
my
what you were.
earliest memory. Yeah, as soon as I hit middle school, the nickname was Dawkins Butt, and from then on it was always little. Even my husband now makes so many all that wagging you dragging and da 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 da. And literally, Brett, I'm at home. You know, my parents my mom. It was funny because I should have known because my mom was always trying to put me in baggy clothes. I should have known. She was always trying to hide, and middle school that thing popped. And so that was my earliest awareness of like, okay, I think this is something that like people like or people admire. I didn't feel any type of way. The only thing that I really prided myself on growing up was being cute and my brain more than anything and intelligence more than anything. But then I saw it was just like, okay, again, as a young girl, you're growing up and seeing how you're filling out and the different looks and the different things that boys may say, you know, and it's just like, okay, I got to be conscious of this. I have to be aware of this. And now even my daughter, I have an 11-year-old, as most of you know, that you know she is growing, she's changing, and how can you be in this body, be responsible with this body at the same time know that nobody else is going to put any shame on you, and you know it's okay to grow. At the same time, we have to be aware of, you know, how we present ourselves. It's just what we have to do as we go out into public, and you know, and being mindful that people will always have something to say. So it was
Yes.
honestly fine that I made me aware of my body. Like, okay, how about for you?
For me, I would say young, being young. I was always like taller and larger than all of the other kids. And so I think I didn't, it's funny because I can laugh now at all of like the reflections of like when I was a youth, right? Like
Right.
of all of the different things like shopping at like Fashion Bug or like my
Yeah,
grandmother,
yeah.
um,
That's your bug.
my grand, listen, Fashion Bug or like dressing and looking like a mid-level manager in 8th grade because a marketing manager, because you know that was the look when you were like larger. They didn't have anything, they didn't have any options, and literally you had to look like you were in management when you
Yeah.
were dressing me, and it was a thing. And it's so interesting because it reminds me we're going to be actually having another session this month. I don't want to get into it, but we're definitely going to be talking a little bit about body politics and like how it shows up in our culture. I can't wait for that conversation.
Yeah.
But this fits so the thought of radical self-love and like and just honoring your body fits so well into you know where we're going and talking what we're talking about this month.
Right. For
But
sure.
definitely remember a lot of the media and projections at the time, because I think about like where we are in society now, and thinking about what was that show, I'm thinking about like sizes now, right? Like remember Monique and
The Parkers.
the Parkers. Okay, remember the
Mhm.
Parkers?
Yeah.
And they made such a big deal, and we're like, it was like, you would have thought like Kim was like huge, right? Like
Yeah.
she was a normal size woman, and
Yes.
our because of like distortion and dysmorphia of like society, like we thought that she was like that was an abnormal thing, but Kim was
Right.
actually normal size. Like a lot of the actresses at that time were like normal size, average
Yeah.
size people, and it was just media definitely hitting us with the message that like if you look like this, there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you're disabled or different, there's something wrong, right? And
Exactly.
it just kind of goes from there as far as like worthiness, right? And like who's worthy of love, who's worthy in relationships, who's worthy of like all the things. So
Exactly.
yeah.
I also when it the reason why I brought my awareness of it, and that was the first thing I went to. I remember all the songs growing up. So and so got a big old butt. Oh yeah, being in the living room and like my mom and grandma calling me out, like I'm supposed to get in the middle of the dance floor dancing. Or what was the one guy? I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Oh
There was
yeah, that
so
was it.
many.
Yeah.
Uncle Luke, like there were so many songs about it. The media was just on it, and it's just
Mhm.
like okay. Yeah, so that's what made me think about that. But I feel you. I definitely hear you.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of it was and it still is a lot of media, and I think now what comes up for me is that now like our youth and adolescents have so much access,
Man.
and they're just bombarded 24/7, and so making sure that there's like some balance and like what they're exposed to,
Yes.
and understanding that like their community, right? Like finding their
Mhm.
community and people that affirm them in their identity and how they look, right? That they are perfect the way that they are,
Exactly.
and that they don't have to try and fit into like a mold. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna defer back to the audience because ain't nobody saying. So I need to find out what was some of the first messages you all received in media. Please share. We want to talk about it. I want to know what's on your minds.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and shout out to our Instagram page. So what are the first, say it again, Brittany, because you know how to
What?
forget.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What were some of the first messages or media that you saw as a youth about your body? What were some of the
What were
first
some of the
things?
first messages from
Yep.
media that you heard or saw about your body? It's your girl Steffi the Light here with Black Girl Health Collective, Miss Brittany, and we are talking about radical self-love, and we are outside on Saturday. So we are talking about media influences as you were raised. What did you hear? What influenced your image of your body? There was something else earlier in the book that she said. It was being, childlike about your body and discovering. But there was something else. She wrote it down. I was like, oh my God, we got to talk about this. It'll come back to me.
I know one of the things that comes up for me too is like the feeling of shame,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody said in the magazine, or sorry, somebody said in the chat, 17 magazine, like the teen magazines.
Yes.
Yeah, they definitely had me feeling a way, not only just about like my image, but like, like you only saw like white models, you only
No,
saw like
serious.
white women, everybody, Sex in the City, everybody wanted to grow up, move to New York City, be the quirky white woman,
Yeah.
that was like finding her way.
Yeah. No, I literally still call myself the Black Carrie Bradshaw. Like, are you
Right?
kidding me? Like
Like, you know what I
that
mean?
was
Like,
my
why
girl.
can't you just be who you are? Like that's,
Right.
you know what I
Um, what you said about it was 17 magazine, Delia's. It was so many of those
Oh, I forgot
magazines.
about that.
It was the
Delia's,
jeans
yes.
for me. It
The
was the
jeans.
jeans for when the little crop tops and these jeans that seemed so impossible that I would never be able to wear. It was they started like this. They were square. Wasn't no there was no room for curves. And I'm like looking in the magazine, and I know at whatever age that was, I'm like I know I'm not even gonna try because I won't be able to fit them.
Oh my God, I'm cracking up. There's so many things in the chat. So you
Okay.
can't wear red skirts. That's scandalous.
Yeah,
One
that's
thing is
husky Jen.
I had a red skirt. Listen, that was an issue. Red
Oh,
skirt was like you could not listen. A red skirt was a thing.
Yeah.
Then somebody else said my body never matched anything on the TV, so I felt very different. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then people saying something like, "You're gonna lose. It's just baby fat." Like, what if you just the size of your aunties and your grandmothers and all the people that took care of your family? Your grandmama black, your mama black, your auntie
Right,
black,
right, right.
right? You know what I mean? Like, that's not that's not like a thing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
And then being obese or overweight was a terrible thing to be. Absolutely, there was a lot of shame around that.
Yeah.
And I would say almost to the point where it was like, "Excuse me, are you supposed to be jumping? Sit down, please. Thank you." Y'all getting served black mom. Y'all know how it goes. But
Listen.
thank you.
Cammy
But you
said
know,
Cammy said Whitney Houston was the only brown person, obviously, that represented us. And
oh
even Whit,
yeah, true.
and even Whit was a stick figure, right? You know,
Yeah, right,
Whit,
right.
Whit was Whitney was definitely small, but yeah, mom, that's true. Jordache, Sergio, she dropping the name. That's
Listen,
funny.
all of it that
Yeah,
just made you like it really affected the relationship that like I have from with my body, and it wasn't until I found people and
right.
that were like similar where I had to do that unlearning.
Yeah,
And I still see it like it comes up. I still like I'm not gonna say that I don't ever get to like I'm not at a point where I'm like, oh, I like am perfect. Like I love everything about my body every day. You know
yeah,
what I mean? But there definitely are times when I have to do that unlearning in the moment,
yeah.
right?
Have to.
Of
Yep.
like I want to be down, but like literally this body has gotten me through everything,
That
right? Like it's gotten me
yeah,
to this point. And so um just meditating on that
yeah.
and really being grateful is really part of the work for me.
Absolutely. I remember in the book she says your body shouldn't be a prison sentence. And that stood out for me because I again growing and becoming curvy and feeling like I'm wrong, for growing at the same this is just happening. Like this is not something I'm not trying to, look sexier or whatever. My body is flourishing in this way. So when she said you don't want your body to feel like a prison sentence, that spoke volumes to me. And it comes back down to, that joy and happiness that I always speak on. If there is a choice, well, there's always choices. We have to choose for ourselves. Like, how do I really want to play this life out? If I know I got one body, no matter how saggy these cities are going to be, no matter how,
I am crying,
baby,
but a
I didn't nurse.
thousand percent.
Baby, it's giving very much almost navel. But guess what? We're going to put a little push up situation on and we're going to be okay. And I literally said on vacation, go ahead, digest it, baby.
I know. I'm like 1,000%, 1,000%, because it's being real. Like because people like we often feel so ashamed or we like don't want to talk about the things that bother us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we have to support each other. Like we have to
Yes,
pour into each other. And guess what? Titty saggy or not, you have two beautiful babies,
that
right?
part.
That have been
That,
fed and nourished, and some people aren't able
yes.
to, right?
Right.
Like so,
Yes.
all the things.
No, I was, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was on vacation, and I like to find swimsuits that have that support, but then I like some that just they happen to not. And so I'm literally like, "What are you gonna do?" And I looked at myself in that mirror, not even thinking about our conversation. Right? I think we actually
Mhm.
decided the day I was leaving to do this, and so I just when you said affirming myself in the moment, that's what sparked this thought. I look at myself in the mirror, and this is for everybody, comments, people watching now or later, but really having to affirm yourself and your body, how beautiful you are, how strong you are, how, again, this is the only body you're going to have. So what are you going to do? Beat yourself up the whole time? And if we can get really into it, I mean, I think everybody has the right to feel sexy, but in particular, I know us as women and again, our capabilities and what we've done, we don't have to be just everybody else's. I just recently stopped nursing, and part of me definitely felt like, oh man, you're being selfish and all the things the voices will say. And I said, that. She's good. She's on pureed foods now. Gabby was 2 years. This baby about 5 months. We're good. And now I'm transitioning to a space where my body feels like mine again. and I'm okay with that. I did what I could do, but mommy got other stuff that got going on, and I can't be so attached this way. But my point is, we all have the right to feel sexy, and that's across the board. To be that's radical to me. To say, you know what, not only beautiful and not only this and not only I've done this work, but you know what, I feel so sexy. That's radical to me, you know?
No, I agree. I was gonna say, and I just want to lift up something that somebody said in the chat when you were talking about breasts. They said, "And you still have them. That's always something to be grateful for." And I just got chills because it is knowing the rates of like breast cancer and those
Just
that
hit me. It
yeah,
just
like I know
thank
you got
you. Thank
chills,
you,
right?
Claire.
Like, because
Thank you,
that's what
Claire.
I'm saying. See, the society and like the way that you even frame and think about things
Whew.
is something to really sit back and be like, where is this messaging coming from, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
why should I feel this way about myself? And then it also makes me think about like even how we affirm our children, right? and
Yeah.
and pour into them, because I can remember I'm wondering like how it would have showed up if like being larger or like plus wasn't a thing, right? Like if it
Hmm.
was like, girl, you can be bad any size that you're like you are, like you can be
Yeah.
bad like however you show up.
Right. Right.
I really try to be cognizant of like how I speak to children, to like our children,
Mm.
especially talking about like weight or like self-expression and all the things,
Yes.
because
I'm
I
with you.
don't ever want them to feel like they have to carry something that is my
That
bag to
part.
carry, right? Like what is the stuff that I know how that I don't have to carry anymore, you know?
I do know exactly what you're talking about is what I'm going through with the oldest. The oldest is now going into middle school, and is larger bodied, right? And she is so confident. And I do see moments where my daughter wants to make, what you say?
I love that
Yeah,
because you know what I
me
mean.
too. Yes, and there'll be some moments where she'll, somebody else has said something, and we have to talk through it. But I am advocating, and we have these in-depth conversations about what does it look like at 11, to be in this body, for her to feel good, and if she wants to make changes, I'm here. Again, we're gonna have those healthy conversations, but I let her initiate when she wants to talk about making changes for herself, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I'm definitely with you. As you were talking, another thing that stood out for me, something I am going to do it. You always, but one thing that I love about you, baby, the styling. It's the styling, because when I know, because everything that we do is normal to us. So okay, you're gonna take this compliment. Nothing stops you from popping out. When you pop out, even when we was in DC, and you had the tutu skirt on with the Michael Jackson hot leather pink, I said, that's my dog, you better, with the Converse sneakers. And the reason why I admire that so much is when I was heavier, for many of you may not know, but I had weight loss surgery in 2020. And the reason why, not only aesthetically and cosmetically did I want to feel better, but I also had lower back pains. I was pre-diabetic, had PCOS, knee pain, and all this just stuff at 30 some years
Mm-hmm.
old was not hot for me. Okay. And when I was much heavier, though, I did not put that much effort into my styling. It was nothing for me to throw on an oversized sweater, some tights, and maybe a combat boot, and done. But then what I realized is that as I started losing the weight and everything, now I was ready to pop out, and I got more confidence then. And looking back at that girl, Steph, before at 270, I'm like, baby, you were beautiful then, you're beautiful now. It's pounds. That's all it is. But that heart never changed. That mind still brilliant, and I send my former self love all the time. And even as I transition and want to, have more energy, that's, again, aesthetically is one thing, but I like all the energy I get when I'm in my space, right? In the space that I want to be. So that's the one thing I appreciate about you, that never tall or whatever it's been, and never stopped you from popping out. So take
Oh,
that.
listen, I appreciate that. And it was a long time coming because for years I looked like a mid-level manager. Okay. I looked like
You had the blazer. You was doing the
I
blazer.
had
What
the
you was
blazer, the button
doing?
up, the pencil skirt, and I hated skirts. Okay. So it took many years to get comfortable. And now I
Yeah.
just wear like whatever makes me feel good. And most often, even though I can pop out, most often you'll catch me at home in holy
Yeah.
sweatpants
Yeah.
and Crocs or whatever.
No, I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. But I appreciate this conversation so much. Actually, it looks like Cammy wants to jump on and say something, which is great because that'll give me time to get my little chicken nugget who is running around and
All
opening
good.
the door.
Sounds good.
So,
Bring it on.
hey,
Bring it
Cam.
on.
Hey, hey, how's everyone doing this fine evening? Hi, Stephanie. How are you, love?
Blessed up. How are you doing, Mama Bear?
I am well. I enjoyed watching all of your footage. Oops.
Because I've got a new theme from Alicia Keys, and her keys so care.
Hang on. Hold on, Mom. Hold on. I can't hear you. I'll make sure everybody else can. Y'all, can we please comment if you
I,
can hear Mama?
I'm
Oh, there she
sorry.
is.
That was
Alexa,
me.
stop.
That was my fault.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, I was enjoying all of the footage from your vacation. I said, yes, Mama, get it. Yes,
Was
yes.
she outside? Was she outside?
I said, go
Thank you.
ahead, Stephanie, and show all the things. I loved every moment of it. Absolutely, indeed.
We
But
need it.
I wanted to jump in on the conversation because with you all being in a different generation, so to speak, what
Mm-hmm.
I am most appreciative of is the ability to come out of those normal thought processes that a lot of us had instilled in us at a certain age, and
Yes.
we were held captive and prisoner by those thought processes,
Mm-hmm.
and discovering yourself in that inner person that says,
Yeah.
I don't care, I'm going to be who I am. And I think that comes a lot from looking at yourself and realizing, yeah, I'm okay, yeah, I have that wagon too, yeah, I understand.
I'm
I
dragging it.
absolutely. And you know what? The funny thing is that being ridiculed for it and now looking at people paying for it, I'm like, baby, this is
Honey,
all natural. Hello?
blessed. Blessed. Hello.
Blessed and highly favored. Okay. So I'm
You
like,
know,
I'm like,
as
it's all about how you view yourself. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself, even though sometimes everything around you is the naysayers and the negative. You have
yeah.
to be able to look at yourself and say, you know what, I like that part about myself, because I was one of those ones that would wear the coat all day in school to cover it up, to cover up the curves.
Oh my.
And yeah, and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna wear my coat, because when you
Yeah.
start to blossom, like when you said about your daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
she's that girl, and I'm like, yes, I'm loving all of that at that age, because that's a hard age.
No, it's
But
so
I
hard.
remember being in middle school at that age and wearing my coat because I'm starting to blossom and bud,
Come
and
on.
I
What?
don't know how to operate in this space.
Yes. That was exact. I'm telling you, I hit middle school and you don't even know that. For me, it was not even noticing. Again, when you're yourself, what you're doing, how you're operating is normal. But to realize, okay, wait, okay, I am a little bit thicker than over here and whatever. But as you're getting on and as you're talking, I think of my grandma who has now passed away in 2021, but she was, God knows I love my grandma, but baby, every time I saw that woman, is your butt getting bigger, Stephanie? What the, she was, my grandma, you're bigger than me. Like, now
Right.
what is going on here and in our family? And I'm going to be honest with you, I had to talk to my mom about how we, address one another and our body. And we are
Mhm.
so respectful of one another and we compliment each other. And it was our way in jesting with one another. But
Mhm.
at the same time, we got to just be careful.
Yeah.
And when we dance and when we doing our thing, first of all, I love to dance. Okay. And whether
Right.
that's beat, offbeat, I don't care. I like to move my body.
Right.
Okay. And so it's just being able to, not tease one another, but instead, I'm going to hype you up. I'm going to encourage you.
Right.
But Black women in particular in our bodies, like I said, it would be my grandma commenting on my body rather than just saying, you look pretty today, granddaughter, or whatever case may be. As
Right.
I got older, I would tease her back and say stuff, but I want to change what it looks like on the inside of the house, so that when we go out into the world, we know, okay, this is how I should be talked to. This is how I
Mhm.
should talk to about my body, about, just the way I am as a girl. So again, if anything's outside of that in a world, then hold
Mhm.
up, I can't deal with you like that. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, because what I will say is that sometimes we get to a place, even though I'm the mama,
Yeah.
We learn, believe it or not, we actually learn from each other. And some of the things, I mean, because some of the things that have been instilled in me as far as appearance and stuff, because I mean, I grew into understanding my body and appreciating parts of my body. I grew into that. That
Yeah.
wasn't always something that was instilled so much. And then once you start to, sometimes, like I said, you have to encourage yourself and you start to grow into it. What will happen is that once you get to that place and you build up that confidence level,
Yeah.
what you're doing is actually showing those behind you how it's done.
Yes.
So they're like, I think I can handle that too. And what I've actually learned from my daughter. Some
Yeah.
things I'm like, I don't know if I can do all that. I
Right.
don't know if I want to show up like that.
Did you
And the
mention me?
person,
Was I mentioned? No, I'm just
You were
kidding.
mentioned. Mother has mentioned the baby.
she'll say, I don't know why, Mom, just put it on. And I'm like, you know what? I am gonna put it on. You only live once. I mean, you
Yes.
only live once.
You know.
And that same wagon that I'm dragging at one point was doggone threatened not to be here. So I'm all right with it. I'm real all right with it.
That
So
part.
that part. So I mean, I just want everyone to understand and get there. And like, we have to be mindful of how we show up and how we represent ourselves, because not only do we have to verbalize what it is and the positivity verbally, we have
Yeah.
to live that. We have to live that part.
I
So
hear you.
because sometimes the things that aren't being said, you're being watched. And how
Right.
you show up and represent and stand there in your most authentic self, you're showing someone how it is to be at the same time. So
I'm
we
so
have to
glad.
be mindful of that. Sometimes it's not always a conversation. It's just
Yeah.
how you stand in there, just being the greatness that you are.
I love that. I
Yeah.
have to mention this, and based off of what you just said, radical self-love helps you set that standard for yourself, because anybody coming beneath that, I know, cannot be in my life. You can't have nothing with me. And we either gonna go the long way in terms of certain
Right.
relationships, right?
Right.
Certain friendships. Now everybody has, again, their levels, but I know if you're showing up like you want to be this close to me, there's a way to talk to me because I talk
Right.
nice to myself. There's a way to handle me because I handle myself gently. There's a way to
Right.
all those things. So radical self-love is setting that mark for everybody else to then come into your life and treat you a certain way. Anybody that came less than, literally, are not around, like, won't, not around, or cannot be around, because I've already got the bar set for myself. And I've also
Right.
been able to spot haters by radically, so like,
Yep.
loving myself so extreme.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
why every time you come around some criticism? Why every
You
time
better
you
watch it.
stare
You
me up
better
and
watch
down?
it.
What is it? You can't got your tongue? Like, what's
You
up with
better
you?
watch it.
And so
Yeah.
when you have radical self-love, man, it helps filter out what's for you and what's not for you. And I can tell
Absolutely.
the people that love it. I literally can tell, okay, she love herself. He don't play, like, you take care, like,
Right.
whether working out, whether it's journaling, whether it's just, again, that self-care and that
Mhm.
self-maintenance that make you keep making you be your best. Man, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We can get into a little bit. I was hanging out with somebody in prior years, and I mean, they spent no time with themselves, was just ripping and running, doing whatever life told them to do. I said, ooh. And then I would say, hey, you ever pray? You ever meditate? You ever? Nah, wait a minute.
Mm-mm.
Wait a minute.
I think it's so hard to get caught up because it like we're literally in a hamster wheel of like constantly running. And so it's so hard to like even appreciate yourself and not get caught up into the seeing the quote unquote deficiencies that you're fed, like, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
conditioning around like what is a deficiency or how you should show up. And
Yeah.
so for me, I think it takes moments of stillness, of like meditation or taking a break or like a diet from social media or from even from people.
Yes.
And so I think it's a yes, and I think it's that being intentional around that, which is very hard to do. I'm not going to
It's
front, like we are so connected nowadays. We're connected more than we have ever been, so it's hard to like disconnect.
yeah.
But that's the thing that has like, you have to do it. And the other part is like like taking those times and those moments to meditate to yourself and really like cutting off access and realizing what you no longer have to carry, like what was instilled to you, like what your mothers, your grandmothers, what did those people that were closest to you
Yes.
instill in you that you no longer have to carry. That is not your bag, right? Like it was their bag, lady, things to carry, but you don't have to carry them anymore, because
Yeah.
so many times we're walking around with things that we have carried for other folks
Yep.
that we no longer have to carry, but we still are holding very tightly to them,
Because
because
it
of
was it's
growing
a
up.
like you said, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. It's like a hamster wheel, pretty much. They do it because their mama did it, and the mamas
Yes.
before mamas did it, and so it's heirloom. It's
Mm-hmm.
heirloom baggage that
Mm-hmm.
comes being passed down. That isn't
Right.
necessarily your bag. I mean, I'm gonna use an example for my grandmother. My grandmother made the best string beans and potatoes, the best. It was just, the most delicious thing. But she didn't like string beans. So why are you making string beans and making them so good and you don't even eat them? I
Wow.
don't understand participating in that if you don't even eat them. Why? Because your mother did it? But
Yes.
if you don't like it, why? Those are me. I was always the why are we doing it that way? I
Yeah.
don't understand that. And
Yeah.
you just do it. Don't ask me questions. Just do it. You don't even know why you're doing it. That's pretty much what the synopsis turned out to be. You're doing it because they did it, but you don't have an emotional connection to it. Now it's just like routine. It's not
Right.
even emotionally connected to the action.
Yeah. I have
So,
two
and we get
examples.
caught up in that.
I have two examples of what Brittany just mentioned as well. Things being passed down. Ever since I was little, we always would dance in the living room. It would be my mom, my grandma, my aunt. It'd just be everybody over there. We would dance in the living room. And if me and my sister busted down a certain way, did our little whatever it was, ew, y'all being nasty, da 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 da. And as we grew older, one of my mom's birthdays, we took her to a dance studio. Little, we was given fishnets and bodysuits. Okay, I think it was like her 50th, or no, it was her 60th actually. And my mom was like, we started dancing. She's like, y'all being nasty. I said, Mom, why you say that? And she said, girl, I don't know. My mom and them used to say that to us. Literally was her answer. And I said, Mom, I said, we're not doing that no more. I said, my mom is so beautiful and has worked hard to stay in shape and all that kind of stuff. I said, and so are obviously me and my sister. I said, Mom, let's try this. Okay, do that. Let's try this. And if Gabby busts it down, it'd be a lot for me to take. I get it. But I'm like, okay, daughter, there's nothing wrong with feeling your body. She's not doing this
Right,
outside trying to get some attention from what I
right,
mean. She's not doing that.
exactly.
She's
She
in this house and she's feeling that thing. And I'm like,
she's
go up.
feeling she first of all, your daughter is so confident, and I wish I had a
Me too.
gram, like a nano particle of the confidence that she had at that
Baby
age,
breath.
that she has at this age. But it's funny because like um I always used to be that. Like I'm so dry, but I always used to push the envelope with Cammy's laughing because I always used to push the envelope with my grandmother, and they were sick of me. So
Yeah.
one time, so I'm cracking up because one time, was this while Grammy was sick when I turned on the back that thing up and started twerking.
Child.
She didn't
Oh,
know how
And
to
you started,
handle it.
was that when you started twerking?
Yes, and she
right.
didn't understand. She
What
she
is going on, daughter?
she
Honey.
couldn't process. It was like Control Alt Delete.
Baby, you should see Gabe's face when Gabby busted down. He be
Listen,
like,
listen, and
I
sometimes
get
you just
it.
gotta get movement in to feel good. I
Yes.
mean, like you have to make the decisions for yourself, and you don't want to carry it. One thing I'm gonna, because I know we gotta wrap up. But one thing I want to touch on is also the thought of how we've carried like respectability politics and how that's played as far as like
Mm.
looking neat. You got to look neat, right, to be respected, or you got to look neat when you're larger, like to like
Hmm.
because like just say you don't like fat people, like or large people, like just say
Yeah.
it instead of I want them to look neat. So I really want to talk about or reflect on or ask, those of us, those joining us, is like reflecting on like those messages and really just starting to do the work of like unlearning, and really loving all of the different ways that we show up.
I will just add this real quick.
And I got one thing.
Because my mother used to tell me, I don't understand. For you to be a larger girl, you can really walk in those heels. You can really work those heels. My grandmother told me, I said, Grandma, how do I look? And she said, stout people can look neat.
She said what?
Stout people
Stout.
can look neat.
Stout people
I
can
don't
look
want
neat.
that vocab word.
The fact that I knew what she was saying, because clear, so and like on, but I also want to lift up that I've heard this story so many times. So thinking about like the impact of that, right? Like I can recall, I know it verbatim. So which means that it lives in her head rent free. That my great grandmother said, stout people can look like, when you feeling yourself and you like, what? Okay, was that like, thanks, I guess,
I
right?
Yeah,
think
Like, you know what I mean? But I feel like the youth are teaching us every day.
the youth are
yeah,
Yes,
teaching. Yes.
the
man.
youth are teaching us every day how to be better, and we have to
Yes,
meet them and continue to do this unlearning of
yes,
and put down what no longer serves us, because
and
we
that's
all
yeah. I wanted to share one other point.
absolutely.
The pass down, what has been passed down through lineage. Another thing that I have completely just threw to the wayside is caring about what other people think. I literally have seen, and okay, so I'm Stephanie, and this is what's going on in my mind. What do I look like worrying about what's going on in Brittany's mind and making up a story about what Brittany thinks about me? Whole time, Brittany got her own Brittany life that she's living. And so we all sitting around wondering what you think and wondering what you think. And ain't nobody thinking about nobody. So why am I
Nobody.
paralyze me? That is literally people, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's wherever I'm at. And it's, I'll give you a quick story. Vacation. This good lady gets in a pool, and she's just doing her, and she said, I had to get away from that white people. I had to get away from them because they're over there talking about Chase, and I'm American Express girl, and da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well,
Child.
yeah, it was so weird. But then when I started turning up, I forget the conversation, but I got, I'll get a little passionate in my conversing. And she said, hold on, because you're getting that, they're getting attention or they're watching you or something. I looked at that lady and I didn't know her from a can of paint. I said, ma'am, I don't care what people think. You're giving them energy. No, they're giving me energy if they're watching me. I'm living my life. She got herself up that jacuzzi because I cannot worry about that. That will literally, the fear of what other people think, it will paralyze you. Won't get nothing accomplished. Meanwhile, they're not even worried about you half the time. And if they are, all right.
And I want
Yeah.
to lift up, and I also want to lift up like what that does to your nervous system, like in those
Child,
what is it doing to your nervous system, the
anxious
constantly,
AF.
right, right, exactly, right. And just think about
Mhm.
that like over generations, right, like of like
Yes.
I
mothers worried
can't.
and nervous and
Yes.
all of the things passing down. And that's why it takes those times of like settling and like trying to like ground yourself
Yes,
Yes.
and honoring your body and not feeding into all of it, because society will tell you,
baby, chop you up, spit
listen,
you out. And you still
listen,
didn't do it right. And you still didn't do it right.
listen. And it took me so many years to get to the point where I didn't care or worry about what other people thought, where I wasn't trying to like attain the bar that's constantly moving. And I just want to leave our community with the just put it down.
Put it
It is
down.
no longer yours to carry.
No.
Put it down.
Let it go.
Let it
Let it
go.
go, man. It's
Okay?
free. Feels so
Listen,
good. It's so nice to be light.
listen. And if you feel like it, Go twerk on somebody. Join us at
Go in
Black
the
Girl Health
circle. Go
Time.
in the
No,
circle.
I'm just kidding.
Don't start. Don't activate me.
Listen, first of all, we are where health and culture meet. Black Girl Health Collective. We're popping out in Baltimore at Revival in November, so make sure that you stay tuned. I appreciate this conversation with my people, Steph and
For
Kimmy
sure.
TT. We
Hold on.
also,
Oh,
what,
go
you
ahead.
got another thing? I was saying also make sure that you register for the hike.
I gotta
We're
say a hike
yeah,
because I'm
register for the
excited.
hike. We have some books to give away. We're also going to continue asking some of those questions and talking about some of the a few of the reflections that Sonia Renee's Taylor's book, "The Body Is Not an Apology." We have a workbook, and we'll be walking and talking through some of those. And like it's all love. So if you all need a ride, you want to meet us out there, just let us know. This is what we're here for. We'll have some portable seating. It is for first timers. It's for people who are interested in getting out of nature, but just never really thought that it was for them. So if you want to hang out with us, we always would love to have you. So
Because
Absolutely.
Black girls hike too.
That is
yes,
a fact.
absolutely.
That is a fact. Please definitely check the website, blackgirlshike2.com. That's TOO. We are outside. We are relieving ourselves of anxiety, the depression, and all the things that just try to plague us and stop us from living our best. So again, please join us. I love our collab. We've been working for a while now. And our goal is very much to get people in these healthy spaces, whatever that looks like and feels like for you. So definitely join us.
All right. See you, family.
Thank you guys. See y'all. See you, squad.
Bye.